Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to NXT December 11th, 2019 review. This event was okay. It wasn't the greatest show in the world. I don't think it really topped AEW and what they did, but this show was okay overall. The matches, though, weren't all that great except for the kickoff of the show and the main event. The rest of the show you could have taken or leave. It really didn't phase me one way or another. It's not something I would have cared to see over AEW for this week's Wednesday night episodes. Though the matchup that kickstarted the show was the NXT Cruiserweight Championship between Lio Rush and Angel Garza. Angel Garza and Lio Rush have great chemistry in the ring. They are fucking awesome together, and I hope to see these guys compete at NXT TakeOver Tampa. The reason why I say that is because there's a possibility me and my best friend may be going to it. Fortunately, I'm not moving to Las Vegas. Things kind of went sour on that, so I'm trying my best to see if maybe I could get to go to this NXT TakeOver show and possibly even WrestleMania, since I'm going to be staying here in Florida. So, hopefully I can get one of those or both of those events under my bucket list and be able to go see those one of those two events or both. The matchup, though, with the Cruiserweight title was unbelievable. Breathtaking action overall by both of these guys. And Lio Rush, man, since he became an individual wrestler, he's become fucking unbelievable. I mean, he's a sight for sore eyes, but Angel Garza is pretty fucking good too. After the match, Angel Garza did celebrate with the crowd as the crowd went wild. On top of that, he also proposed to his wife, or his fiance at this time, while they were on commercial break. They did a lot of hype up between Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler, both of them getting very beautiful, fantastic promo videos of their feelings going into the match. It felt like a legit fight that we were going to see next Wednesday. I cannot wait to see this matchup. I think it's going to be fantastic. So, yeah, Angel Garza wins the NXT Cruiserweight title. Raul Mendoza versus Cameron Grimes. Did not care for this. Raul Mendoza did win the match. I wasn't even paying attention to it, so that wasn't a big deal to me. Jackson Riker versus Travis Banks. This matchup, again, I like the fact that they're kind of having the NXT UK involved in this show. I think that's awesome. I like some of the talent on their brand. Though there's so much wrestling I watch that I don't have the time to kick in and watch NXT UK. Even though I really would like to, but I just get burnt out from watching wrestling, so I don't really get an opportunity to watch their shows. Though I am looking forward for Worlds Collide between NXT and NXT UK, so that should be a load of fun to watch. Then we had Mia Yim and Dakota Kai. This matchup was pretty interesting, though the match ended up with Dakota Kai winning the match by Kai sending Yim into the exposed turnbuckle, and then she rolls her up for the pinfall and the win, and that's how the match ends. Kai gets attacked by Mia Yim, and eventually they brawl out to the outside of the ring and into the crowd, and then Mia Yim does a German suplex off the top of the one of the part of the areas in the stage, and they go straight through a table. Yim nails a huge side suplex off the top level and putting Kai through the table down below for a huge bump. Yim recovers and stands tall as her music hits. And that's pretty much that. We have Breezango versus the Singh brothers. Could have lived without this. Breezango actually win it between Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Who the fuck cares? That match did not mean much to me at all. Caden Carter versus Bianca Belair. This match was okay. Nothing major to talk about here. With this, Bianca Belair wins by hands down with no problem. And then the main event, we get to see Tommaso Ciampa versus Keith Lee versus Finn Balor. By the way, these three men had an opportunity to provide a promo of each one of them on their feelings going into this matchup. I like this one as well. I like the overall presentation of this show. The show is definitely way better than AEW in the sense of sport-like feel. Because lately, I don't feel like AEW has been presenting that except for some of the matches they provide. But the gimmicks are just over-the-top ridiculous. I like the Dark Order. Don't get me wrong. I like them. But the rest of that show is just really ain't got what NXT has. I'm sorry. And I think that they provide a realistic wrestling show, which is why if I can't see WrestleMania, it ain't such a big fucking deal. But NXT TakeOver it is very important to me. I'd like to go see this. But hey, if I can't, I can't. You know, it is what it is. And I really want to go see this. I have the money for it. It's just trying to figure out how to buy these fucking tickets. They make it like it's a big fucking deal. I mean, whatever happened to good old, you buy a ticket, you print it out, you bring it to the fucking show, and there you go, problem solved. Make everything such a big fucking deal with these electronical pieces of shit. As you can tell, I'm 31 years old and I can't stand technology. That's pretty fucking weird, ain't it? Anyway, I'm going to read you guys off some of the highlights of this matchup. Back from the break, we have a video package on Tommaso Ciampa, which transitions into Ciampa's standing backstage. He says tonight is for Goldie. Ciampa heads to the ring for tonight's main event. Keith Lee is out next. Finn Balor is out next after that. The winner of this match, of course, will challenge Adam Cole for the NXT World Championship next week. We get a formal ring introductions, making this match seem even more important than what it really is. It's not just a number one contenders match. This is a match of a lifetime, an opportunity to do something great and do something on the last episode of NXT, making this show like a pay-per-view event. Now, Ciampa and Lee both brush Balor off during the introductions. The bell rings and Balor rocks Lee. Ciampa attacks Balor and Lee drops Balor. Balor goes to the floor for a breather and Lee follows as Ciampa looks on from the ring. Balor tries to get in, but Ciampa stops him. Lee yanks Balor off the apron and slams him into the apron. Balor lands hard on the floor. Lee sends Balor in. Balor ends up rolling Ciampa for a 1 count as he's distracted with Lee. Lee slingshots himself in, leaving his opponents. Or leveling his opponents, not leaving his opponents. And then they go to the commercial break. Back from the break, and Lee drops Balor in the corner and splashes Ciampa in the other corner. Lee with more splashes to each man in the corners. Balor drop kicks Lee in the back against Ciampa, but Lee is still up. Balor and Ciampa take turns on Lee now, pretty much double teaming this guy, and very smart decision making here as ring match strategy, because Lee is the tallest and strongest guy out of the two. So Ciampa clotheslines Lee over the top rope to the floor. Balor and Ciampa unload on each other in the ring now. Ciampa stomps away in the corner and then opposite corner, beating Balor down. Ciampa with a running knee to Balor's head. Lee comes to the apron, but Ciampa nails him with a running knee. Ciampa kicks Lee as he comes back to the apron. Same with Balor. Ciampa then delivers a double draping DDT from the second rope for a pop. Ciampa wastes time and doesn't cover. Ciampa scoops Balor for an air raid, dropping him on top of Lee. Ciampa with a 2 count on Balor and then a 2 count on Lee. Ciampa kicks Balor out of the ring and goes back to work on Lee in the middle of the ring. Ciampa with big chops to Lee. Lee levels Ciampa with a huge left. They keep fighting, and Ciampa tries to lift Lee but can't get him up. Lee with a big Hulk smashes and a splash, but Ciampa gets his knees up. Baylor comes back in the ring and nails a double stomp on Lee. Baylor charges at Lee, but gets hit with a pounce. Lee keeps knocking both opponents down now, and Lee with a running splashes over and over to his opponents in the corners. Lee launches Baylor into Ciampa to take him down as fans continue changing for Lee. Lee with a big backdrop to Ciampa. Lee stacks Ciampa on top of Baylor and goes to the top. Ciampa grabs his leg and unloads on him. Ciampa climbs up and Baylor joins him on the other side of Lee. Ciampa and Baylor double team Lee by slamming him to the mat as we go to commercial break. Then back from the commercial break, Ciampa rocks Baylor up top. Ciampa goes for the super air raid, but Lee puts them both on his shoulders, sending them to the mat. Fans chant NXT and holy shit now. Lee drags Ciampa and Baylor to the opposite corners. Lee climbs to the second rope for a moonsault on Ciampa, but he moves out of the way. Lee blocks a fairy tale ending and hits a jackhammer to Ciampa. Lee goes for Baylor, but Baylor counters with a roll-up for a close 2 count. Lee blocks a sling blade and goes for a power bomb, but Baylor turns it into a Coupe de Grace from up high. Fans chant NXT again. Baylor sends Ciampa over the top rope. Baylor runs the ring and leaps out to the other side, taking Lee down. Fans chant, "This is awesome" now, and Baylor runs and knocks Ciampa into a barrier, knocking a few crew members back. Baylor brings Ciampa back in, but misses Coupe de Grace, and Lee runs in with a pounce to Baylor. Lee turns his attention to Ciampa, who is being checked on by the referee, and Ciampa avoids a Lee powerbomb. Then Chop blocks Lee's knees. Ciampa with an air raid on Lee and in the middle of the ring for a close 2 count. Ciampa can't believe it. Ciampa charges, but Lee drives him into the mat. Lee goes on to the second rope, hits the moonsault for a close 2 count. Lee goes for the sit-down powerbomb and hits it, but Baylor immediately follows up with a huge Cody Gras for the pin on Lee to win. And that's how Finn Baylor becomes the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your match. That's the main event. That's pretty much it. This show had 2 good matches, or not good, but great matches. The rest of the show you could have taken or leave. It really wasn't all that great. Just a lot of good hype up for next week's episode, but matches overall did not do any justice for this show. This show did not live up when it comes to in-ring action. Storyline telling, very good. Good hype up for next week's episode, and good way to close out this episode with that triple threat match. And that's pretty much it. And the Cruiserweight Championship title change was unbelievable and shocking at the same time. So this was a pretty okay show. A lot better than any WWE Raw or SmackDown episode you'll see, but good nonetheless. So that's all I have to say on this subject. Leave your comments and opinions down below. I understand it's a very short video. I am extremely tired. I have done a ton of fucking work. It has been a long work week, and I have fucking work tomorrow from 9 to 3. I have 6 days of work this week. Yes, this really sucks. But I do apologize for the short video. I would like to give it more justice, but I'm beat. I'm tired of talking. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, at least for some of the insight I gave you guys. And I will say this. This show, with Finn Balor winning, this is going to give NXT's next episode next week a huge bump in ratings. Some people would say this is the AEW effect. I'm going to say this is just them wanting to get an edge. And I think they did that absolutely beautifully, and it was the right decision. Now, would I have gone with Keith Lee in retrospect? Yeah. If they weren't going in ratings with another company and competing for ratings, I don't think they would have had Finn Balor win this match. They'd have kept Finn Balor away from the world title for a little bit longer until a major event. But this is a major event because this is the last episode for 2019 for NXT. They want to deliver a fantastic go-home show for the end of the year. And I think that's fantastic by NXT to want to deliver and provide a good show. So, at this time, leave your comments and opinions down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching and I hope you have a great night. Bye.